You are responsible for the marketing strategy for a consumer brand of coffee. It's a premium coffee. It's think kind of Nescafe Gold Blend or something like that. And it was launched in the North American market 3 years ago with an estimated potential of 50 million consumers. The brand had a marketing spend of $20 million per month over those 3 years. $20 million a month. And that marketing was spent equally on 4 things. And we need to understand these 4 things. The first thing is mass advertising. This is big hoardings on the side of the road, drink Nescafe Gold Blend, right? Doesn't say anything about the product at all. It just says, here it is, this is what it's called, look out for it. The second kind of advertising is, and it tends in practice to be very expensive and sophisticated, it's trying to explain why it is that you as a consumer should want this particular product. It's called values advertising. So you should want this product, you should want Nescafe Gold Blend because sophisticated people like you or like Martin drink that, and you wouldn't want to be seen to be less sophisticated than Martin. That would be bad. The third item is trial promotions. So you'll have seen these little things that get stuck on magazines, little free samples or free samples on the shelf in supermarkets. Trial promotions, give this thing a try to get consumers to start actually buying the product. And then the last 5 million was spent on loyalty promotions. So you are sometimes buying Nescafe Gold Blend and sometimes you're buying Kenko. So here is a promotion to persuade you always to choose Nescafe Gold Blend and not Kenko when you go to the supermarket. Do you get the idea of those 4 things? 4 very different kinds of expenditure, each with a quite different purpose. Make people aware, make them understand, make them try it, make them always buy it. That's the 4 stages we're going through. Now, because of that, the brand won more than 35 million consumers over 3 years, and it became profitable. But 20 million a month over 3 years is a lot of money. That's 240 million, that's $720 million you've spent on marketing over 3 years. And although you got profitable, you didn't pay back all of that advertising. So the challenge for you is, can you do better? You've been asked to launch the brand in Europe, where it happens that they're also the same number of people. Can you spend that marketing budget better? All right? Now, how does this work? Each of these boxes is a stock. It's a stock of consumers. And when you start, you've got 50 million people in this stock here, people who have not heard of the brand. This is the 36 months. This is the North America launch. And over 36 months, most of the 50 million people were pumped out of there, further up the chain, by this advertising. So that's the 5 million we're spending to make people aware. They all moved into here, but pretty much as soon as they got in here, this advertising pumped them out of there into there. Think of these as tanks up the side of the hill, and we're pumping water up the hill. And all the time, of course, water is flowing back down again, so we've got to keep pumping. So this stock would have filled up to about 43 million, except that you then started emptying this tank as well. With this advertising, which pumped them into here. And then promotions moved them from there into there. So you'll see the first 6 months or so, almost nobody actually became a customer for this product. Almost nobody. Yeah. Because you were spending all of this money making them aware and understanding before you actually got to make them buy it. And then the last bit pushes them into there where they buy more. So your sales come from those people and those people, but those people buy 3 times as much as them. So there's your sales. You don't need to worry about the margin and price issues. That's all kind of assumed to be fixed. So that generates your gross margin minus your marketing costs gives you your profit. So this is your profit. It started at minus 20 million, which is the 20 million you were spending. And then as you got sales, sales were paying back some of that 20 million. So by this point here, your gross profit was 20 million, leaving you breaking even. And then by here, your gross profit was 42.8 million, leaving you with that profit. But all of this money is a cumulative outflow. So over that period from there to there, you were underwater by 280 million or something like that. But then this money came flooding back in, and you got back to you nearly got your money back, but not quite. The North American people just decided what these budgets should be and left them fixed. You can move that money up or down. You can spend more or less than this. Anywhere within that range, 0 to 10. Just anywhere at all in that range. You could spend nothing here, or you could spend 10 here, or you could spend 5 there. It's up to you. Anywhere within that range. And you don't have to spend it all either. If you don't want to spend 20 million, don't feel you have to. You can spend as much as 40 if you put them all right at the top. Right. So that's your choice. So there's the rules. This is the software tool. It's called My Strategy, and this is the folder of software that I've provided for you. And this one is called the Choice Pipeline Exercise. Now, in that folder, there is not only the model, there is also PowerPoint instructions on what to do with it. You can play with this to your heart's content afterwards. So when you open it up, you'll see the model that looks exactly the same as I just showed you on screen. And if you press the Run button down here, it runs. Now, the black lines on this diagram are the North American scenario. Okay? What you do is you open these up, you fiddle around with how much you want to spend. Then you run it again, and you'll see a purple line, and the purple line is a result of your strategy. So what you want is you want the purple line to be better than the black line. Okay, if you'd like to get your software out now and get that going, I'll brief you on how to do that. Let me tell you that making 100 million is quite easy.
Really? Okay.
Making 200 is possible.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, this chart here is the monthly operating profit. So how much am I making each month? And this is simply accumulating that. That's the difference between the two. Yeah. In case you haven't found it, you have to hit the stop button here before you make any further changes. So you run it once through, then you have to stop it before you change the decisions. Guys, have you managed to get back above 0?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
200 million.
200. Oh, we've got 200 over here. Guys, we've got 200 over here. 150, 180. 250. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, you've obviously all got the idea then. So I guess your strategy looks something like this. We spend very heavily here, first of all, to get people into there, and then we spend heavily here to get them into here, and then we move along and spend heavily here. So you kind of move the target of what you're spending the money to where the people are you're trying to move, right? And notice that there is a positive continuing spend as well, because if you don't keep spending, they all start dribbling back down the hill again. So what have we learned here? We've assumed that we've already identified a good positioning for this business. There are 50 million people who would be interested with this product, with this positioning, right? Now what we've got to do is actually make it happen. So what are we going to do? When are we going to do it? And how much? And what impact is that going to have on performance over time? So this is what are we going to do when and how much? And this is with what impact on performance over time. We're trying to improve performance over time. Obviously, if you're having a class discussion, you can do exactly what we've just done here. It takes about 20 minutes and you get good learning out of a very simple exercise. If you know what you're doing with these models, it's dead easy to produce them for yourself. It doesn't have to be about coffee marketing. It could be about anything. So if you just scroll down here, this is the underlying model. We do not try to teach our students how to build these models because that's a long and difficult thing to learn how to do. But for those that are interested, they can dig down below and see what the model actually is. And the other thing I've done is I put on the same resources here. There's another zip file with something called the asset lifecycle model in it. It works in just the same way, although it's a slightly more complicated model to explain. This is based on a real model of a power distribution company. Very similar models have been done for water companies, for rail operators, for basically any business that relies on some assets being in good shape. You can use it even for the asset management on things like restaurant and hotel chains. Oh, you can always tell when a hotel chain's in trouble, can't you? Because the wallpaper's starting to be tatty and the carpets need replacing and the plates are chipped and stuff, right? So think in terms of a power company. This stock here is all of the brand new switchgear and transformers and cables, all shiny new stuff here. It does fail occasionally because it's bedding in and it's not entirely reliable, okay? And those assets stay there for about a year. It then moves into this period here where they're called reliable units. They're bedded in, they work well, they're still quite shiny, and as long as you do the regular maintenance, they will stay shiny and they won't fail very often. I mean, you could think about this in terms of a fleet of vehicles too, a fleet of cars. You know, there might be 1 or 2 teething troubles when you first get the vehicle, but then it'll be reliable for a good number of years, 5, 6, 8 years. After a while, even if you maintain them well, they will start to get unreliable. You know, the switchgear will break down occasionally, insulation will fail, whatever it may be. And if you really don't look after them for a very long time, they'll be completely unreliable. They'll be breaking down every few weeks. The decisions you have to make, at the top, you have to spend money on maintaining reliable units and maintaining less reliable units. If you don't spend enough, they will deteriorate more quickly and they'll move from there to there. If you want to, you can take these units out of service altogether and replace them with new ones, or you can take some of these out and you can refurbish them. You can kind of take them apart, strip them down, and put them back together again, and they will be like new. So you have a decisions to make here about how much money am I going to spend on the different kinds of maintenance, and how much am I going to spend on replacement and refurbishment. And it's just the same principle as before. This one is not very good because our cash flow is going down and down and down here. Let me see, what have we got here? Yeah, this is the total rate of failures in the entire system. So you've got to run this business and keep the failure rate down, because you get a penalty from the regulator. They set price limits for you, so there is a price that you're allowed to charge for the power that you carry, but they will penalise you if you have a high failure rate. And there's a schedule that says this is how much penalty you're going to pay if you have a failure rate which is unacceptable. Okay? And the higher that failure rate gets, the more the penalty it's going to be. So as I say, this is modelled on a real UK power distribution company, and this particular bit of their business. There's not much they can do to actually alter this thing here, which is the demand for the power that's distributed. In fact, they're being told that they've got to get that number down for climate change reasons. They're told they've got to get that, that you are tasked with reducing the demand for your product, which is a pretty tough thing for any company to cope with. And you've got very little control over the price either. So your room for maneuver here is pretty limited. And this is the largest, the dominant piece of strategic control you've got over your business. And it works just the same way. You change those decisions and you try to produce a strong and sustainable cash flow. Okay? So all kinds of little models you can do. If you've got a situation you want to model and give people a chance to play with, you can just use this or one of the other softwares in this to actually do it. But you're giving your students, you're giving your group a chance to actually try to implement strategy. Not just talk about it, not just identify a good position, but actually to run it. Okay, and that's kind of what we do in any other field of life where it's complicated. We train airline pilots on simulators. We don't train them by sending them up with 300 people in the back.